It is a seismic shift in the entire foundation of the show. I genuinely wasn't expecting that. And it is not just about a familiar face coming back to our screens. It is about the absolute nightmare scenario that is allegedly coming with her. The moment I realized that Jens might actually use Kristina as his ultimate human shield, I felt physically sick. We have been watching Jens set these lethal, terrifying traps for weeks, aiming at Sunny, Laura, and Lucas, but pivoting his crosshairs directly onto Kristina. That is a level of psychological warfare I was not prepared to witness. I am screaming at my screen just thinking about the absolute chaos this is going to unleash. If you ask me, this is exactly the kind of emotional devastation that the writers excel at, but it absolutely does not make it any easier to digest. I am terrified, I am thrilled, and I am honestly just overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what this means for everyone involved. The visual of Kristina, completely unaware and just trying to live her life, suddenly being snatched up by a desperate, cornered animal like Jens is haunting. I can already picture the sheer terror in Lexi's eyes, the way she portrays that raw, unfiltered vulnerability that always made us want to reach through the screen and protect her. Jens is not just some random thug. He is a highly intelligent, incredibly dangerous man who knows exactly what buttons to push. By taking Kristina, he is not just securing a safe haven, he is effectively paralyzing the most powerful man in town. It is a masterstroke of villainy, and I absolutely hate how brilliant it is. Let's talk about why this hits so incredibly hard. I keep thinking about the history here, the deep, complicated, and often painful bond between Kristina and Sunny. For years, we have watched Kristina struggle to find her footing, constantly caught in the massive, suffocating shadow of her father's criminal empire. She has fought so hard to carve out her own identity, to focus on her dream school, to build a future that is entirely her own, free from the violence and the bloodshed that follows her family like a plague. Seeing her finally reach a point of stability, only to have it violently ripped away by a monster who just needs a bargaining chip, is absolutely gut-wrenching. We have witnessed Kristina go through so much trauma already. We have seen her manipulated, broken, and pushed to the absolute brink of despair. To see her dragged right back into the darkness, not because of her own choices, but simply because she shares her father's blood, feels like a cruel joke. The expectations we had for her bright future are being completely shattered, and it hurts because we care so deeply about her journey. When you invest years into watching a character grow, seeing them reduced to a pawn in a deadly game of chess is a tough pill to swallow. And then there is the Sunny factor. We all know that Sunny has been meticulously planning to hunt down and eliminate Jens. He has been setting his own traps, pressuring Ava, totally ignoring the warnings from Laura, and acting with that trademark arrogance that makes him believe he is always 10 steps ahead. But this completely pulls the rug out from under him. The irony of Sunny's lethal plotting directly resulting in his daughter becoming a hostage is a tragic, poetic justice that hits entirely too close to home. It is the ultimate nightmare for a man who claims his entire life is built on protecting his family. Jens knows exactly what he is doing. He understands that Sunny is practically invincible when you attack him directly. But if you take his daughter, if you hold a gun to the head of the child he has sworn to protect, you instantly strip away all of Sunny's power, his bravado, and his control. The stakes have never been this astronomically high. We are not talking about money or territory. We are talking about flesh and blood. The sheer panic that must be running through Sunny's veins right now is something we have rarely seen, and it makes the entire situation feel incredibly volatile and dangerously unpredictable. I love this storyline because it finally puts Kristina front and center where she belongs. I love the idea of Lexi coming back and sinking her teeth into material that is this rich, this dark, and this challenging. The dramatic potential here is absolutely off the charts, and I cannot deny that the soap fan in me is practically vibrating with excitement. The tension, the tears, the inevitable explosive confrontations, it is everything we tune in for. I love seeing the stakes raised to a level where every single decision could mean life or death, but something still bothers me. I have to admit, I am so incredibly frustrated that Kristina is, once again, nothing more than collateral damage in her father's endless mob wars. I am so tired of seeing the women in this family pay the ultimate price for the sins of the patriarch. Why does Kristina always have to be the victim? Why does her trauma have to be the catalyst for Sunny's character development? It feels like a vicious cycle that we are doomed to repeat forever, and it makes me want to pull my hair out. I can't help feeling that Kristina deserves better than to be locked in some dark, damp room, entirely dependent on the men in her life to save her or doom her. I want to see her fight back. I want to see her use her own intelligence and resilience to survive, rather than just waiting for Sunny to negotiate her release. It is a constant tug of war in my heart. I love the angst and the high stakes drama, but I absolutely despise seeing a character. I love being stripped of her agency and reduced to a helpless bargaining chip. This duality is what makes watching this show so exhausting but so addictive. You want the thrilling, heart-stopping moments, but you hate the suffering the characters have to endure to get there. I am sitting here, completely torn between cheering for the incredible acting we are about to witness and crying over the sheer unfairness of Kristina's situation. It is a brilliant narrative choice, but it is also a deeply painful one that forces us to confront the ugly reality of the world these characters inhabit. I mean, just close your eyes and picture the scene. The dark lighting, the tense music, the absolute horror dawning on Kristina's face when she realizes she isn't just being mugged, but she is being taken by a man who wants to destroy her father. It is the stuff of nightmares. And Lexi would absolutely devour that material. She has this incredible ability to convey so much pain and resilience with just a single look. We have seen her do it before, and the thought of seeing her do it again, under these extreme circumstances, is giving me full-body chills. I understand why Jens is doing this. From a purely strategic standpoint, it is a brilliant, ruthless move. He is a hunted man, desperately trying to survive the wrath of a powerful mob boss, and he needs the ultimate leverage. But I still think that was a mistake. A massive, fatal miscalculation. You do not back a man like Sunny into a corner using his children and expect to walk away breathing. Jens has crossed a line that fundamentally changes the rules of engagement. He has gone from being a formidable adversary to a dead man walking, regardless of how this hostage situation ends. And then we have to talk about Sunny. Oh, Sunny. I have to judge him harshly here, and maybe I'm being unfair, but I don't think I am. His lifestyle, his absolute refusal to let things go, his constant need for revenge, it all led directly to this moment. He brought this danger to his daughter's doorstep. He was so focused on his lethal plans, so obsessed with trapping Jens, that he left his own family vulnerable. He underestimated his enemy, and now Kristina is paying the price. I am struggling to find sympathy for Sunny right now because this is the exact scenario everyone has always warned him about. When you live by the sword, your loved ones are the ones who end up bleeding. Seeing him forced to back down, forced to swallow his massive pride and negotiate with a man he despises is a bitter pill, but it is one he entirely deserves to swallow. He has to take responsibility for the monster he created and the monsters he invited into their lives. The judgment I have for both of these men is overwhelming. Jens is a coward for hiding behind an innocent young woman, and Sunny is a fool for thinking his criminal empire could ever truly coexist with a safe, happy family life. They are both playing a dangerous game of ego and power, and Kristina is the innocent casualty caught in the crossfire. It makes me incredibly angry, and it makes me question if Sunny will ever truly learn his lesson, or if he will just use this as another excuse to unleash even more violence on the world. This brings me to the absolute core of my internal struggle right now. Part of me wants to believe that Sunny will finally do the right thing. I want to see him surrender his empire, hand over whatever territory, money, or power Jens is demanding, and just walk away to save his daughter. I want him to prove that his family actually means more to him than his mob crown. I want that definitive moment of sacrifice where a father chooses his child over his pride. Another part of me thinks that is a complete fantasy. Another part of me thinks Sunny's ego simply won't allow him to submit. I am terrified that he will try to outsmart Jens, that he will attempt some risky, half-baked rescue mission that only puts Kristina in even more danger. I can already see him stubbornly refusing to give an inch, trying to call Jens's bluff, and risking his daughter's life in the process. The thought of Sonny prioritizing his reputation over Kristina's safety makes me physically ill, but I cannot deny that it is a very real possibility given his history. I honestly can't decide what I want to happen. Do I want the epic heroic rescue where Sonny swoops in and saves the day, reinforcing the toxic idea that his violence is justified? Or do I want him to be completely broken, forced to bend the knee and lose everything he has built, just to ensure Kristina breathes another day? It is a fascinating, agonizing conflict that has me pacing around my living room, arguing with myself about the morality and the narrative satisfaction of both outcomes. This is the kind of storytelling that gets under your skin and refuses to let go. And think about the ripple effects this will have across the entire canvas. How is Laura going to react when she finds out the man she warned Sonny about has now taken his daughter? How is Lucas going to process the fact that the danger has escalated to this level? Everyone in town is going to be holding their breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop. The tension is going to be so thick you could cut it with a knife, and I am absolutely here for it, even as it tears my heart into a million tiny pieces. The psychological toll this is taking on me as a fan is immense. I am constantly second-guessing the writers, second-guessing the characters, and trying to brace myself for the inevitable heartbreak. It is a brilliant, terrifying ride, and I am strapped in whether I like it or not. The anticipation is slowly driving me crazy, and I know that when those episodes finally air, I am going to be an absolute emotional wreck. Am I the only one feeling this way? Seriously, I need to know that I am not alone in this absolute spiral of anxiety and excitement. Are you guys as terrified and thrilled as I am about the prospect of Lexi returning for such a dark, heavy storyline? How do you feel about Kristina being used as a pawn yet again? Do you think the emotional payoff will be worth the trauma we are about to witness? Guys, what do you think Sonny is going to do? Will he actually step down and give Jens what he wants? Or will his pride get in the way and cause a tragedy? Maybe it's just me, but I feel like we are standing on the edge of a cliff and the show is about to push us all over. Drop your thoughts, your theories, and your emotional meltdowns in the comments because I desperately need to talk about this with people who understand. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like our screens will never be the same after this.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.